Hey guys, so today I want to bring to you my anticipated releases of the next quarter. So I already have a video talking about books that I was excited about that were being released in January, February, and March. And today we're mostly going to do April, May, and June, but there's actually two in March that as of filming this haven't been released yet, but will be obviously right away because we're in March. And I don't think I talked about these in my video from the beginning of the year because I'm pretty sure I didn't know that these were being released. So I think I've got two from March, and then we've got three from April, two from May, and one from June. I actually had a really hard time coming up with this list, mostly because when it comes to anticipated releases, books that I'm interested in either requesting from NetGalley or requesting as soon as they come in from the library, they're generally books that are written by authors that I've already read before. Otherwise, I prefer to kind of let a book be out in the world for a little bit and see what people think before requesting it. Just because there's so many books out there and the hype can be really big for a book before it comes out, but it's not really until people start reading it that I feel like I can kind of take the average of people's opinions. So there are two different places that I gathered this particular list from. I went onto Goodreads, and if you go through to books, you can see new releases, and then it shows you new releases by authors that you have shelved books from before. So I got a lot of these from there, and then I also went onto my NetGalley account, and then specifically there I just stuck with the Christian genre, which for the NetGalley is both fiction and nonfiction. And then I just went through and found some that are being released right away that sound interesting to me. I think I have three authors? No, just two authors on here that I haven't read before. All the other ones I've read other books by them and feel like I can actually recommend them. So the very first one here is going to be released on March 5th, and that is Cinder's Adventure. So this is by Marissa Meyer, and it is an ebook, and if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles, I would highly recommend that you do so. I reread them in the summer/fall and really enjoyed them the second time around. They're pretty much retellings of fairy tales, but they're sci-fi retellings. So Cinderella is a cyborg, and they're set in, well, a very different kind of world. It's science fiction, but the first one takes place in Asia, and it's very interesting. So Cinder's adventure, I think, is her marriage. So I don't want to say too much because that spoils a lot of what goes on in the books, but I'm not sure how long the ebook is, or it's a novella. I'm pretty sure they're just releasing it as an ebook, but I would like to get my hands on it because it would be fun to read. And as I came across that, I actually found out that she has released other little ebooks that have to do with the Lunar Chronicles that are like 15 to 17 pages long. So I'm assuming a person just needs to download those from Amazon. I doubt any kind of like libraries would have those or anything, but I'm going to see if I can get my hands on those as well. Okay, now I've got my rest of my list here. Unfortunately, Cinder's Adventures, from what I can tell, doesn't even really have much of a cover. I mean, it's got a little bit of a cover, but I really like the old school covers of the first, like the main four books, and then how they've redone them. I really like both of those. So the cover to this one that's coming out, I get that it's a short little ebook, so it's not really a big deal. But it doesn't look nearly as good. I wish at least the colors kind of matched the other books. So next up, coming out also in March here, March 22nd is Find Your People by Jenny Allen. The subtitle is Building Deep Community in a Lonely World. And I feel like this is the perfect book to be coming out, coming off of these last 2 years. It's been a lonely world for a lot of people. We've been like, I don't know, building community has been discouraged, being in community has been discouraged. So this seems like a really good time for this to be coming out. I really loved Jenny Allen's Anything, and another book by her, Reckless, I think. So I'm excited about this. I've been seeing her name pop up on all of the podcasts that I'm subscribed to, that I generally don't listen to podcasts with when they're interviewing people because it's all the same. Everyone's interviewing her because she's got a book coming out. So this one, it says, in a world that's more connected and more isolating than ever before, we're often tempted to do life alone. whether because we're so busy or because relationships feel risky and hard. But science confirms that consistent, meaningful connection with others has a powerful impact on our well-being. We are meant to live known and loved, but so many are hiding behind emotional walls that we're experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. So actually I don't remember where I was reading this the other day, that being lonely is the equivalent on your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or something. Like your chances of all sorts of things, diseases and bad things happening health-wise, that's like the equivalent, which seems crazy to me, but also understandable. Okay, now we are on to March, and I am excited about the first one because I have pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it as soon as you could, and it is The Souls of Lost Lake by Jamie Jo Wright. And speaking of Jamie Jo Wright, she has another book coming out in the fall as well. She did announce the name and cover, I think, already too. But I can only one book at a time here. I'm so excited that she has two coming out though. So The Souls of Lost Lake, I'm assuming, honestly, I pre-ordered it, but I don't remember what it was all about. But yes, Jamie Jo Wright always does dual timelines. So we've got 1830 and present day. So present day, we've got Wren Blythe has long enjoyed being among the Northwoods, helping her father with programming at a youth camp. But when a little girl in the area goes missing, an all-out search ensues, reviving the decades-old campfire story of Ava Coons, the murderess who still roams the woods. And then we go back to 1930 and we are following Ava Coons. So I don't want to read more, but I have enjoyed every single Jamie Jo Wright book I've read. Like I said, I have it pre-ordered, so I'm expecting good things. And then also that same day is Awake. The subtitle is Paying Attention to What Matters Most in a World That's Pulling You Apart. This is by Anjuli Pascal. I've never actually read a book by her, I don't think, but I believe she wrote the book called Stay that I've wanted to read for a long time and just haven't. So when I saw this one pop up, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting as well. And kind of a little bit of the description here says, what if there's more to life than what you're living? You felt it, the underlying anxiety that you're missing out on the good life. So you zone out, swipe up, slim down, work hard, and spin in circles trying to get it. It says, but full life isn't found by chasing it. It's found by coming awake to it. Talking about, I want to know I came to peace with my weakness, loved people fiercely, walked with God faithfully, etc. So, I don't know, that one sounds interesting to me. Then, okay, this is one of the authors that I have never read anything by. The book is called Shadows in the Mind's Eye by Jen, okay, I don't know how to say her first name, Trump. Also the cover looked really interesting. This is a historical fiction is what it's categorized as. It says Charlotte Ann longs to turn back the clock. Before her husband Sam went to serve his country in the war, he was a man everyone could rely on, but the person who's come back to their family farm is very different. Tongues start wagging after Sam nearly kills his own brother. Now, when he claims to have seen men on the mountain when no one else has seen them, she's not the only one questioning his sanity and her safety. So, it's kind of apparently supposed to be a little bit eerie and filled with love and suspense. And it says readers of psychological thrillers and historical fiction by Jamie Jo Wright and Sarah Sundin will also add Trump to their favorite authors list. And so because Jamie Jo Wright was listed there, I was like, I'm willing to give that a try. So I want to read that one, see if I can get my hands on that one. Then on May 3rd, we have The Bookwoman's Daughter. So this is by the same author that wrote The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. I read that book about a year ago with my Patreon group. We did a book club reading that one, and so I thought that one was pretty good. It wasn't a favorite, but I'm curious to follow this along. So the Bookwoman, it follows the Packhorse librarians in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I think. Is that where it was? Somewhere in the States. I don't remember exactly. They delivered library books to people all over that lived really remote places, but it also follows the Blue people, the Kentucky Blue people. There we go. So I'm assuming it's set in Kentucky. And they had a skin condition where their features were blue. And so now we are going to be following The Bookwoman's Daughter. To me, this one is like, get it out from the library, probably not purchase, but I'm excited to see where the story continues. Okay, 2 left. May 17th, we have Lines of Courage by Jennifer A. Nielsen. So I don't know what this is. Yeah, it's categorized as middle grade historical fiction. And Jennifer A. Nielsen is, I think, my favorite middle grade historical fiction writer. She wrote Words on Fire, and I'm totally blanking on names. A Night Divided, the one about the Berlin Wall, and she has some more that I haven't read, but I think she's my favorite middle grade historical fiction writer, so this one is a must read. It follows 5 different kids throughout World War I, and I'm assuming they somehow intertwine. It says each of whom holds the key to the other's future. So we follow Felix from Austria-Hungary. He longs for the bravery to resist Jewish deportations before his own family can be taken. Kara from Britain dreams of someday earning her Red Cross pin and working as a nurse or even a doctor. Juliette of France hopes her family can remain knitted together despite her father's imprisonment as the war's longest battle stretches on and on. Elsa from Germany hopes her homing pigeon might one day bring a friend from out of the chaos. And Dmitri of Russia, who wants only to survive the front where he's been sent with no weapon. So that sounds really good. Also very fitting. I feel like, yeah, very fitting. So that one, I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on ASAP. And then the last book that I have, oh yes, is by Nancy Mell. This is Freefall. This is book 3 in the Quantico Files. So it's kind of a spin-off of her Kaylee Quinn Profiler series. We follow different characters, if I remember correctly, that kind of are in that same world. So it's a detective, FBI detective kind of story. I gave both Nightfall, book 1, and Deadfall, book 2, 4 stars. So definitely need to continue the series. This one, it says someone's been abducting women with long dark hair across Virginia. So then Alex Donovan is our main character, and she needs to put together a profile. And I have always really liked psychology, so that is part of the reason I really like mysteries, especially when we can follow like profilers, behavioral analysts, because I just find the psychology behind things and why people do what they do, and then being able to like try to figure out people making a profile from this it's very fascinating to me. So there we go. That's book 3. I don't know if this one's just going to be a trilogy. The other one that I read of hers was a trilogy, so I don't know if this is the last one in the series or not, but I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, so those are the books that I'm most anticipating in the next few months and a little bit of this month. Let me know if I left some off this list that you guys are excited about, because like I didn't make a complete list here. These are just the ones that are kind of the top of my list, authors that I generally seem to love. And yeah, I love that people are just always writing new books, because there's always more and more out there to be reading. So thanks for watching, guys.